KURINJI Senior Secondary School, CBSE, Namakkal.
Successful result producing school in state every year.
Administered by the Board of Directors with over 35 years of experience in the teaching field.
Special attention on art, craft, music, dance, silambam, yoga, skating and karate.
Focus on Hindi Sabha and Spell Bee Olympiad exams.
Smart class for effective and innovative learning and well-furnished library.
Solitary importance on sports and games in state and national level.
WhatsApp facilities to know activities of students and school inside the campus.
NEET, JEE, IIT coaching experts from Rajasthan and Andhra Pradesh along with our effective teachers.
Admission registration for classes LKG to +2.
KURINJI Educational Institution, Kavetipatti, Namakkal. Admission in progress. CBSE, KG to 12, contact 9025895176. Metric 6 to 12, contact 9344567484. For online admission, log on to www.kurinjischoolnkl.in.
Friends, now in this video we are discussing second video on factors affecting the process of photosynthesis. So what are the factors affecting the process of photosynthesis? So in previous video I have tried to give the somewhat information related to the light as well as law of limiting factor and elaborate information on the so what are the factors mainly playing an important role in the process of photosynthesis, and what are the factors which plays an important role in the process of photosynthesis we have learned. Now in this video continuation information of remaining factors, so that's why here it is a video number 2 on the factors. Okay, now carbon dioxide and half of the information I have given in the previous video. So before watch this video, once go back to the previous video and watch the continuation means starting information of carbon dioxide concentration and continuation information concern, you can come here to see this. Okay, now important to note that the C4 plants show saturation is about 360 microliter. Okay, 360 microliter, while C3 plants respond to increased CO2 concentration and the saturation is seen only beyond the 450 microliter. Okay, so thereby here what is the point? So if you take the saturation point of C4 plants is 350 microliter, whereas C3 plants respond CO2 concentration and the saturation point is seen only beyond the 450 microliter. So thereby here the saturation point of C3 plants is 450 microliter, whereas C4 plants CO2 saturation point is about 360 microliter. Thus, the current availability of the CO2 levels is limiting to the C3 plants. So thereby current availability of the CO2 levels is limiting to the C3 plants. Means here if you see there so based on this information, so the availability of the CO2 levels are limiting to the C3 plants. So here if you based on this information, the availability of the carbon dioxide will be very less only to the C3 plants. Why? Because C4 plants are having some kind of anatomical features. So because of the having of anatomical features, so in bundle sheath cells carbon dioxide will not come out. So thereby there all the time carbon dioxide levels will be more only, but in C3 plants only, so sometimes carbon dioxide levels will be limited. So thereby here this is a point here we have to highlight more and more. And the fact that C3 plants respond to higher CO2 concentrations, C3 plants. So in fact that C3 plants respond to the higher CO2 concentrations by showing increased rate of photosynthesis leading to the higher productivity has been used for some greenhouse crops such as tomatoes and bell pepper. So now here actually C3 plants, if you see there sometimes these C3 plants respond to the even higher CO2 concentrations also. So when they are responding to the higher CO2 concentrations, so definitely it leads to the that brings the more productivity of the photosynthesis. So here what is the point? So when the C3 plants responding to the higher carbon dioxide levels, so thereby the productivity will be more. So thereby when C3 plants responding to the more CO2 concentrations, so thereby, so here we will observe the increasing of the rate of photosynthesis. So when the carbon dioxide levels are increased, the rate of photosynthesis is increased. When the rate of photosynthesis increased, we will observe the higher rate of productivity. Higher productivity. So based on that one, in greenhouses, so by increasing the carbon dioxide levels, so we are cultivating tomatoes and bell pepper. Okay, so that is a point. So that is a point we are discussing here. Later they are allowed to grow. Later they are allowed to grow in carbon dioxide enriched atmosphere that leads to higher yield. So thereby here, so because of the increasing of the carbon dioxide availability, so definitely we can grow some kind of products, or we can grow some kind of plants cultivation. So thereby we can get more yield finally. So means, so here what is the point now we can remember more means, so because of the increasing of CO2 levels, so the rate of photosynthesis will be increased. When the rate of photosynthesis is increased, the productivity will be increased. So thereby what is the point? Based on this point, in greenhouses, means here in nurseries, if you see there no green color cloth mother, so some kind of arrangements will be there. Did you notice those? So there here in greenhouses, so how we are cultivating these tomatoes as well as bell peppers means, so by increasing the carbon dioxide levels in those atmospheric conditions, so definitely we can increase the crop yield. Okay, next one more factor, that is temperature. One more factor is temperature. So now here the temperature point of view, the dark reactions are being enzymatic or temperature controlled. So means here the dark reactions are being enzymatic and or temperature controlled one. So means here what are the dark reactions, or there means a carbon fixation process. So already we have seen, so there definitely the process it is depending on the enzyme. So thereby definitely all these dark reactions are definitely under the control of temperature. So the light reactions are also temperature sensitive. They are affected to much lesser extent. So means here even reactions, so means light reactions also definitely are temperature sensitive only, and they are affected to a much lesser extent. So means even though light reaction, so there are light reaction 100% depending on the light only, no, but when compared to the dark reaction, the light reaction so reaction enzymes so are much lesser affected. So likewise in the C4 plants respond to the higher temperatures and shows higher rate of photosynthesis, while C3 plants have much lower temperature optimum. So means in comparison to the C3 plants and C4 plants needed higher temperatures than the C3 plants. Means here as we have seen differences in previous video, so here the C3 plants requires a much less temperature than the C4 plants. So thereby here what is the point? The C4 plants generally needed more temperature conditions than the C3 plants. Okay, so later temperature optimum for photosynthesis of different plants also depends on the habitat that they are adapted to. So means here one more important point, temperature adaptations are the optimum temperatures of the photosynthesis. Sometimes that will be different for the different types of plants. So that is sometimes it is depending on the habitat where they are adapted to. Means based on the habitual conditions and based on the temperature conditions. So sometimes that there are different types of plants, they have or they are showing different temperature optimum conditions. So likewise here we are discussing about a few points. So regarding temperature, so just one point save pannikonga. Suppose if you take the C3 plants, there the optimum temperatures are being one type, and if you take the C4 plants, there also the optimum temperatures are one type. But here the temperatures will not be same in all kind of plants. So means suppose for example if you take a C3 plants 15 to 25 to 30 is there, and C4 plants 30 to 45 temperatures are there. Means here based on this one, C3 plants required one kind of temperature for the process of photosynthesis, whereas C4 plants required another type of temperature. But in comparison between these two, C4 plants only requires more temperature than the C3 plants. Okay, so why? Because of the having of different types of anatomical modifications, so they can survive in huge temperatures also. So that is a point here we can discuss. Later, tropical plants. Later, tropical plants have a higher temperature. Even tropical plants have a higher temperature optimum than the plants adapt to the temperate climates. So here even what are the plants which are present in the tropical regions requires, so yeah, generally exposed to the higher temperatures. So even though they are exposing to the higher temperatures that they can bear, so thereby they have adapted to take that temperature as optimum. So when compared to the temperate climatic conditions, means what are the plants which are present in the temperate regions generally needed even lower temperatures also they can take them as optimum. Okay, so means here in this particular point, what is the point now I am going to give you is tropical plants that can take even high temperatures also than the temperate regions or the plants which are present in the temperate climate conditions. Okay, later water. Even water also we can be considered as one of the important factors, so which that can affect the process of photosynthesis. Now even though water is one of the reactants in the light reaction, the effect of water as a factor is more through its effect on the plant rather than the directly on the photosynthesis. So means here, so the effect of the water, if you see there as a factor, it can show that much very impact only, more through its effect on the plant rather than the directly on the photosynthesis. So thereby here directly it will show the impact, but when compared to the other kind of metabolic activities, the impact will be less. So thereby what is the point now I am going to give you is here is, so water definitely it is required. So why it is required means during water stress causes the stomata to closure. So definitely in water stress conditions means when the plant undergoing for different types of water stress conditions, at the time the water availability will be less. So when the water availability will be less thereby the stomata definitely so definitely it closes. So stomata will be closed at the time, so definitely when the stomata is closed, so thereby, so finally what is happening, so it reduces the exchange of gases. Once exchange of gases availability is reduced, so thereby CO2 availability also will be reduced. Once the CO2 level is reduced at the time definitely, so what is happening, so it leads to the lesser rate of photosynthesis. So thereby besides to the water stress also makes leaves wilt. So means here suppose if the leaves or the plants are suffering from the lack of water, even in that particular case also leaves gets wilt, thus reducing the surface area of the leaves and their metabolic activities as well. So thereby later surface area of the leaves so will be increased, means when it will get wilt the exposed area of the leaf is reduced, so thereby metabolic activities also try to get reduced. So why? Because there is no water availability so that's why, because of the lack of water availability, so all metabolic activities so slow down, so thereby the rate of photosynthetic activity will be down. So that is a point in water we can be discussed. Later unknown point, even oxygen concentration also. In inhibition of photosynthesis by high oxygen concentration is known as Warburg effect. So means here what is the point, even Warburg, a scientist, he was observed that in presence of oxygen concentration so in a presence of more concentration of the oxygen, so it was observed the inhibition of the process of photosynthesis. So thereby here this kind of phenomenon only we are calling as Warburg effect. So means the inhibition of photosynthesis by high oxygen concentration. Inhibition of the photosynthesis by high oxygen concentration we will be taking as Warburg effect. Later, internal factors. So there are different types of internal factors also over there. So once let us have a look on them. So let us leave. Later, first one is chlorophyll content. The amount of chlorophyll in the leaf has a direct relationship with the rate of photosynthesis. Suppose if the leaf has more percentage or the more content of the chlorophyll, so thereby the rate of photosynthesis will be more. So means based on that one, suppose if the leaf being like very green in color, so there or the thick green color there in that particular leaf we can see the more rate of photosynthesis. Okay, so thereby here, suppose if you take some kind of leaves, you will have even white in color or pale white color also, no? So there, the rate of photosynthesis will be less. The rate of photosynthesis will be less. Later, internal structure of leaf. Later, internal structure of leaf point of view, the thickness of the cuticle. The thickness of the cuticle and epidermis structure and the distribution of the stomata and the protoplasm of mesophyll tissue will influence the rate of photosynthesis. One more time, the internal structure of leaf, if you see there, the thickness of the cuticle, the epidermis structure, distribution of stomata and the protoplasm of mesophyll tissue also influence the rate of photosynthesis. Okay, later accumulation of the end product. Next one is accumulation of end product. Accumulation of the end product. Now the end products of the photosynthesis should be translocated to the other parts. So means here once you see the what are the food materials which are going to be prepared in the leaves, should be translocated by the evening. Suppose here all the time what are the food materials are prepared in the leaves which are not translocated to the other parts. So thereby what is happening? No. So what are the food materials or what are the chemical compounds are there in the leaf? So all are accumulated at one place and starts to initiate the feedback inhibition and starts to stop the entire process of photosynthesis. So that is the point only now we are going to discuss. Now in absence of an efficient translocation leads to an accumulation of photosynthetates. Photosynthetates means what are the chemical compounds which are synthesized in the process of photosynthesis. So these are all should be translocated from the one place to another place. But here due to the lack of that much of translocation metabolic activities, so definitely photosynthetates means the chemical compounds which are synthesized in the process of photosynthesis which will be accumulated in the leaf itself. So again at the time these chemical compounds all together switch on the feedback inhibition. So thereby, so what are the products which are formed in the process of photosynthesis stop the process of photosynthesis. So that is the point here we will be terming mainly as feedback inhibition. So even so here internal factors also plays an important role in controlling of rate of photosynthesis. So thereby here internal factors, chlorophyll content and the internal structure of leaf and the accumulation of end products, and external point of view oxygen concentration, water involvement and the temperature, carbon dioxide and light. So likewise now here we have seen there are different types of internal as well as external factors plays an important role. So now here playing an important role in the rate of photosynthesis. So definitely what is the point now we can understand now for the exact or for the optimum rate of photosynthesis, definitely there is a need of the factors. When all factors work together, definitely when all factors work together, then only we will see the more rate of photosynthesis. So this is the information regarding photosynthesis. So in the next video I will start new chapter. Thank you.